no stopping the clock. Spins tick tock, can they chop? Can hip hop and pop lock? Can beat drops in? Hey, you over there, I know you see me. Is it hot in here or is it chemistry? How's locked in? Baby, take a chance to
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Parental Advisory Podcast, where we're here to provide you with invaluable content to deal with the challenges and provide solutions for the day-to-day aspects of parenting. What we want to do is actually highlight today, we're sponsored by HBCU Alum, which is a HBCU platform, and I will let our co-host Terrence go into a little bit detail about that.
Hey, what's up, family? HBCU Alum spotlights students, alumni, traditions, and the culture, highlighting HBCU experience. The Black College experience is something that everyone, if they're not aware of, they've been affected by it. They may have had a mentor, a family member, a friend who has attended one of our illustrious HBCUs. And so we try to highlight and spotlight the culture. And also we give out scholarships. We sell some apparel. It's pretty dope. And we support some HBCU-bound students every year. So we're going to keep growing, keep it going.
Yeah, it's super dope what Terrence is doing, what they're doing out there. I mean, you can catch them at, what are some of the handles you guys are on?
So we're at HBCU Alum on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. And our website is thehbcualum.com.
Yeah, super dope. We appreciate everything you're doing. I mean, highlighting that. We're getting HBCUs. I'm an HBCU alum, and it's just getting a lot of more notoriety, you know, with Dion going down to Jackson State,
right.
putting it out there, even at Tennessee State, having Eddie George. I think recently, I want to say Tennessee State's band was at the Rose Bowl. I know FAMU's band was over at Paris during Fashion Week.
Correct.
So a lot of eyes are being put on HBCUs that weren't being on there 15, 20, 25
Absolutely.
years ago.
It's about time, man. I mean, I say post George Floyd, you had a lot of renewed awareness about that. And so enrollments have gone up,
Yep.
which is great. The monies have been pouring in donations wise. So it's a great time to be HBCU bound, HBCU student, or HBCU alum. So
Perfect. So you guys, of course, you know Terrence. I wanted to just introduce, of course, the co-host here, Marquita and Brandolyn. How you guys doing today?
Hi.
Good.
How y'all doing?
Cannot complain. How's things going up there in the D?
It's good.
I know you better enjoy these last few days or weeks of, because you already know what it is.
is it winter yet, or is it still
I
summer?
ain't gonna lie, it's a little cool. I mean, I just got here a couple days ago. I'm like, I've left my jacket.
It feels nice outside.
No,
Okay?
it ain't bad.
Nah,
but
don't
it's a
try
little
to. Nah, you
cooler.
don't
It's
need
so
no jacket.
cold in
It's
the
good.
D.
Hey, God, gonna give peace, but that's good. That's good. Everything is good up there, and weather's good. We're good down here in Georgia for now, you know, at least for the foreseeable future.
Right.
But today, on today's episode of the Parental Advisory Podcast, we are going to tackle something that I'm sure every parent listening has dealt with, and what that is parental burnout. You know, between work-life balance, between obligations, your kids' activities, school, dropping off, picking off, we all face burnout. So you may ask yourself, if you don't know, what actually is parental burnout?
Let us know.
And according to, and I know I'm going to butcher this, so if Dr. Pooja Agarwal is listening, I do apologize. But according to Dr. Pooja Agarwal, a board-certified neurologist and life coach, parental burnout is the physical, mental, and emotional exhaustion one feels from the chronic stress of parenting. Some of those symptoms are being drained all the time, loss of motivation, irritability, detachment, feeling alone in the world. So some of these I've felt at times, and I'm sure some of these you guys have felt as well. I know we have kids that are different age groups, but I will just ask you, what are some things that you guys do to cope with parental burnout? So like for me, I'll start off. For me, one thing that I typically do when I start feeling burned out is doing something that's self-care. So whether that's journaling, whether that's doing meditation, whether that's, hey, doing a one-day staycation where I can just unplug from the matrix of being a parent, because burnout is serious and we take it lightly, but there are certain neurological and physical impacts that burnout can have on you. I mean, we're young. You see people in their 30s having strokes from work and things of that nature. So one of the things, like I said, I do is, you know, the meditation or the self-care or even exercising. So what are some of the things that you guys do to help cope with parental burnout?
Yeah, and I have the secret here. So all our listeners, I hope you are writing notes down and paying attention because the secret is going to YouTube and turning on Gracie's Corner.
Ooh.
It's clutch. Now, I'm just all
Gracie's
jokes aside.
Corner.
Yeah, kids love that. But all jokes aside, too, I mean, it's something you have to have balance. Now everyone's trying to, work and be the best employee they can, and people are trying to have side hustles, and people are trying to have a social life, have a spiritual life, be a parent, take care of themselves, and it's just overwhelming at times where you can't do it all, and you want to do everything, but you can't do it. And sometimes you need to have some disconnection. You need to have some self-care. As you said, a good point is like a staycation, a little getaway, a girls' night out, a guys' night out. You got to have that because, from a Monday through Friday grind with school, with work, practices, breakfasts, preparing lunch and snacks, and not having a lot of sleep, it is difficult, all right? It does get to a point in time where you can get burnt out. And so take those trips, have a vacation, have a dinner out with your spouse or your friends, get a sitter for a couple of hours and just go out and live life. Sometimes you got to have that, because if you don't, then you kind of get some resentment and you feel like you get a little bit tired. And a lot of times too, you don't get a chance to go to the gym or eat right, or because you're always on the go. And so it definitely can add some stress to your life. And you talked about the health issues that you have, because after a while you say, okay, I'm just going to pick up some Chick-fil-A today, or I'm going to pick up some McDonald's like that guy did.
Guilty. The McDonald's. Yeah.
And so you're not taking care of yourself.
For sure.
And so I think that's something to definitely make time for yourself, because if you don't, it's going to come back and hurt you, and you're going to wake up in the hospital or something like that nature.
Yeah. Anything from the ladies' perspective up there?
Honestly, so this summer has been my parenting burnout moment. I have a 5-year-old, and she turned 5 July 1st. And so she did not meet the requirements to attend a lot of the cool summer camps because she hadn't completed kindergarten already. So most of the cool stuff is for kids that completed kindergarten already. And I'm not trying to spend $1 bazillion to send her to daycare over the summertime when we went to preschool for free. So I'm like, fine. So as a result, she's been with me every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
So you're gassed,
all
basically. You're gassed.
All day. She's been with me every day. She comes to work with me. She stays she's all day. She's just with me. And so that drives me insane. Between her and then my oldest, dropping them off, picking them up, moving them here, figuring out where they gonna go. Yeah, I've been driving myself crazy. So one of the things that and I noticed it within myself, and I could talk about how you notice it, the times when I would at night, so I don't let her come with me to work for my evening sessions, because they're back to back. It's too much for her. So she's typically at home with her sister. But at the end of my night, I'll go home and I'm sitting in front for at least an hour. I don't go in the house because I don't want to. I don't want to talk to them. I want to make sure everybody's asleep before I go inside, because I don't want to talk to them.
I mean, but that's self-care, and that's you being aware of that. Yeah,
sure. We're going to call that self-care. That's some BS self-care. Sitting in my car, wasting gas. Not self-care, but
I call it my be still moment. You just gotta be still.
But that's what I noticed it in myself, and then also noticing it in myself, because I'm yelling at the kids more. I'm yelling at them.
You're more irritable.
I'm irritable. I'm frustrated, stuff like that. So, and then I see a lot of parents or sessions who are going through the same things that I'm going through. So, a couple of things that I tell them is that, well, one, this is something I discovered. This was during the pandemic, because my kids were when we were all on lockdown, they were nuts. I discovered the midnight shower. Ooh. Midnight showers are amazing. Okay. It's the only time I can go to the bathroom by myself and nobody's gonna talk to me.
Oh, that's true, actually.
Yeah. Only time. Midnight showers. So I take a shower as long as I want to. Nobody's gonna bother me. It's amazing. So I did discover that for myself.
I've never thought of midnight showers like that. If I was thinking about midnight shower, I want somebody in there with me. But
you know what? Sometimes, look, okay, I don't live that kind of life right now. No.
I don't either. It's a fantasy.
But yeah, so no, that was the only time, seriously, because even now, my children are almost 15 and 5. I don't go to the bathroom by myself. I don't know the last time I went to the bathroom by myself. There's always somebody standing in the door. Yep. There's somebody coming in talking to me. That's just how it goes. Even if I'm in the shower, the kid is so mom.
My daughter FaceTimed me in the bathroom one day. She knows I have my phone with me. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, why do I get a FaceTime? She's FaceTiming me while I'm on the toilet. What are you doing? I'm like, privacy. You know what I'm doing. I said, man, there it goes. Technology coming back to literally FaceTime me. I'm like, she's with me. She's here. Why am I getting a FaceTime? But yeah, like you said, no privacy. Sorry.
When I tell you, I've not closed the bathroom bathroom door. I don't even close the bathroom door. It's pointless. I haven't closed the bathroom door in 15 years.
Wow.
Like I haven't.
I have a boy, so I had to start locking the bathroom door because his father is like, like, listen, like you gotta learn.
Yeah.
So, and that's what makes it even worse for us because we're all girls. So it's like, I don't even close the door. I have to remember to do it if people are over. I'm like, oh shoot, let's close the door because everybody don't want to see all of this. But yeah, so some of the things that I tell parents are, one of the things is like, there's a form of therapy, it's called DBT, which is dialectical behavior therapy, but they have a lot of different skill sets within it. One of them is called please skills, and please that's my favorite skills to do. And so please, what's the word? I know they have a lot of acronyms. That's what please is an acronym for something. So PL is about physical illness, and it's just making sure you're taking care of yourself when you're sick. That's like one of the basics. First E is about exercising, making sure you're exercising. Try to do at least daily, try at least 30 minutes a day. A is about avoiding mood altering drugs or alcohol. I'll tell people if it's a problem, it's a problem. If it ain't, it ain't. That's just for sleep, trying to make sure you get, at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep at night or whatever it is that
where are they doing
gets you
that
rejuvenated.
Where are they doing that? What parent is getting? I've been trying and it doesn't happen.
Look,
yeah, I haven't seen
I don't get it either.
I mean, maybe on vacation.
But try to improve where you can.
Right.
So if you only doing 5 right now, try to go for 5.5, 5 and 15, something. Try, work your way up. And then the last E is about eating, making sure it's balanced eating and things like that. Because if you're taking care of these, and these are the basic things that we should be doing daily. So this has like, I guess you can call it self-care, but this is like basic necessities of our lives that we need to do. And if we're taking care of those things, then it makes us less vulnerable to our emotions. We're less irritable. We're less, all those things. So I tell parents, like, let's start focusing on this and see, where we get from there. One of the other things I tell people is about having a life outside of your kids. Yeah. And this is something I'm just starting to do, which is funny. I've been Caitlin's mom or Nemo's mom, past 15 years, and I don't have a life outside of that. So I've decided I'm going to start doing that. People ask me my hobbies and I can't even tell them what it is because I don't know. Hanging out with my kids, I suppose. So I'm starting to do things like that.
That's very real.
And the month of July, I actually went on 3 trips the month of July, which was insane, but it was the most fun that I've had. Taking trip without my kids was the best thing that I could have done for my life.
Because trips with your kids are exhausting.
Amazing.
It's exhausting.
Oh yeah, like we had a blast. Like when I took my youngest to Legoland, we had a blast when we went.
But you're exhausted.
But taking a trip without them was so much fun. And I've decided in my life that I'm going to do that once a quarter. Absolutely. That I'm going on a trip without them because it's necessary to keep me, like, I came back, I felt more motivated to do everything. I was like, come on, let's do this, let's do that. I was better with work and everything. So that was something that, kind of helped me. And then, like I told you about the midnight showers, trying to incorporate some of those little bit of times throughout the day that's just for yourself. And no matter how small, setting it as important, like, okay. And sometimes for midnight showers, I go to sleep because I'm tired, but I will set an alarm to wake up at midnight so that I can have my midnight shower.
Man,
because it was that important.
Hey,
it has to be intentional because sometimes we do, and a lot of times we do have that time, but because we're not being intentional with it, we don't own it as our own.
Yeah.
Like, those times where you're like, oh, this is my show, I want to watch this, I want to do this. That is your time, but treat it as such. Don't treat it like it's such a daunting time, enjoy it.
You're right.
And that intention kind of helps with a lot of things. So I know, okay, I'm stepping off my soapbox.
That's great.
All of that stuff. Yeah, like all of that is good stuff.
Corner for today.
No, I love it. I mean, I love please. I mean, that makes sense. I mean, it's some of the things that, when I was on some of these topics, those are things that, came into place, the exercise, So, I mean, that's cool.
Yeah. And then one last one actually is about using your resources. A lot of people, sometimes you think you don't have them, and I've done that too. But I've utilized my resources all the time, and it's nothing for me to call, my brother, my sister, my mom,
a support,
or anybody
your support
like,
network.
hey, like you got an hour? Can you keep her for an hour? Can you do this for her? Can you pick up this kid at this time? Because I can't be at 30 places at the same time.
Yeah.
So that's also been a blessing to me too, just to have a big, network. But everybody doesn't have that.
Right.
But you can utilize what you have. I used to tell parents, like, if your kid plays a sport, talk to the coach. Hey, coach, can you, bring kid home? Because if I can actually cook dinner while you bring kid home from practice, that would make things amazing. Befriend another parent. You have that, those type of things going, so that so it doesn't have to be so draining and daunting on yourself.
True.
Yeah, for sure.
Team up with a parent that you like and trust, even if it's just for car rides from one place to another. It could change everything for some people.
I mean, and that's something that a lot of people need to hear, because I think, and I know for me as a parent, I want to try to do everything I can. I want to be the one to pick them up. I want to be at every practice. And I have to tell myself sometimes, like, hey, you aren't going to be able to make this practice. You need to, if mom is there, as long as there's a parent there supporting, and that goes back into that support network, because sometimes for parents, and not all parents, but sometimes it's challenging. You want to try to do everything, but you're only human, and sometimes you have to step back and let your support network, if you have one, step in and help you out. And I've had friends tell me, like, Remy, you don't have to be everywhere. Like, your daughter's going to love you. If you not at this practice, it's not going to be the end all be all. So that's great, that support network. Brandy, what would you say some of the things you have to do to cope? Because I mean, I know you have a crazy commute to work, and you don't necessarily have immediate family right where you are. I mean, of course, dad's there, husband's there, but how do you kind of cope with that?
Well, I'm sorry, but we do have an extra co-host for our session today. Hopefully my mom will be coming to get him in a minute.
Oh, it's all good.
So Cam might be interjecting in this conversation, but yeah, we moved to Connecticut 6 weeks before the pandemic, and that really changed a lot in just the fact that we're in a new state. And so we actually hired, and Cam was in daycare for 6 weeks or so. We hired one of the daycare teachers to be a nanny for us, and she's actually still with us. Her job responsibilities have increased, and I can equivocally say that we're broke, but given the fact that she was with us before my son was diagnosed, it's very important that we keep her part of our network. She has 4 children herself. They're a lot older, but Camden kind of tags along as if he's like the little brother, and we really appreciate that given the fact that he's an only child. So, as much as I would love to have, close friends and family and things of that nature, I have been definitely blessed with finding someone who takes her role in our family very, very seriously. Now, with that being said, I have had to learn to use her outside of just working hours. I would pretty much only schedule her for when we were working, and my husband and I had to take the steps to be like, okay, one time a month we're gonna go out to eat, at least or maybe one time a month we just sit and look at each other, but we need hours just to be able to do that. So it's been a learning journey to let go, and slowly but surely we're getting there. One thing that I am happy to say is I like to get my nails done. That is my thing I have to do. It is very important. If I look down and my hands are not on point, then my whole self-care just can't, I just don't feel good. So I must say I have to get my nails done. That is very important to me having that rejuvenation that I personally need. The only other thing I would like to say for, it does pride me when I look at my schedule, and yes, I have a Google document of our whole family schedule, what I'm doing, what my husband's doing, what, my son's doing, what the nanny is doing for him, is all on one Google spreadsheet. And it makes me feel good to say okay, I'm picking up 2 days this week, or I'm picking him up 3 days this week. But the other 2 days, I'm either having lunch with a friend, or I have another client, or I'm doing something that I actually want to do. I think it's very important to look at the week or look at the next 2 weeks and be like, am I doing something that I really want to be doing? Because at the end of the day, we do a lot of stuff that we have to do. Some of the stuff we actually want to do, as a parent, it's important to do certain things and to show up, but it still falls under the category of what we have to do. And so I definitely always am looking to see am I going out for a cocktail? Am I doing what am I doing that I really, really want to do? Am I trying a new restaurant? So those are the little things that I have found that have helped. And, you know, my husband, you know, I would love to interject because he's very big on self-care. And, you know, him going to the gym, you know, him going to the range, you know, like, you know, I have to factor that into the Google document.
For sure.
Because he needs those things for self-care as well. And so I have to also be mindful of what I need, but also what he needs, so that we're both, you know, coming into the situation ready to do our job and be happy about doing our job as a parent. So that's pretty much, you know, I mean, I don't have as long of a list as Marquita because, you know, this is her area of expertise. But I can tell you that I schedule a Bloody Mary at least once a week.
There you go.
Hey.
Good.
But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Everyone is different. Everybody needs different things of self-care to help them cope. Right. So, I mean, the fact that your list is different from Marquita's, which is different from Terrence's, which is that's the beauty of this, because there's somebody who's listening who can get something from one of us. Absolutely. Maybe this doesn't work. Maybe exercise doesn't work for somebody. But hey, maybe taking that midnight shower is what comes out. I'm gonna just start taking midnight showers just to do it. With the Bloody Mary.
You'll change the whole world.
And honestly, it's funny that you mentioned that too, because I do wake up at 2:00 in the morning, and I find like that's my time to take a shower because everybody's asleep, the house is quiet. So it may not be at midnight, but it is around 2 a.m. So, and also too, another thing I wanted to interject, you know, my husband and I, we have memberships at Massage Envy where you get like a monthly facial or a monthly massage. And that has helped us schedule a massage and a facial every month, or like either or. And, you know, I'm big on my facials, and, you know, due to being, you know, my work requires me to be very physically, you know, it does a lot of wear and tear on your body. So having a monthly massage, most people think it's kind of bougie, but it actually really is important to get that blood flow going. So that's something else I can suggest too. Finding something with monthly memberships or something that kind of makes you show up, like you're paying for it monthly, or, you know, even if you have friends at the gym. I remember when I lived in Detroit, like going to the gym was like a club, like everybody that you knew was there at certain times. So just finding ways to hold yourself accountable to doing things that are A, good for you, or B, that you really want to do.
Yeah, because a lot of that stuff is free. I call it free therapy. You know, some of it. Well, obviously a membership at you're paying for that, but there are some things that is like free therapy. Like when I'm in a place or whatever, hey, going for a walk, doing something with nature every day, whatever it is that can kind of detach you from the everyday rigors of work and being a parent can help you and benefit you in health-wise as well.
Absolutely. I mean, it's so many different things that were named, and I think everybody took some good tips and ideas from those. But as you guys talked about the midnight and the 2 a.m. showers, I think some of the most freeing time is when you finally put your kids to bed, right? So then you can actually have mommy, daddy time. You can actually have your time to yourself to get caught up on your own information that you need to, you know, to do, or your own guilty pleasure watching, I don't know, P-Valley or something. Like you have your time to get a chance to get away time for someone's not saying, you know, mommy, daddy the whole time too, right? Because at the end of the day, you can have a scenario where your coworker is getting on your nerves, right? You're already kind of irritable. You come home and your kid is upset or they're sick, right? Then at the same time, you may be getting sick because of the kid. So now you're just in a bad mood. And if you have that going on, at one point in time, you're going to snap on somebody.
Yeah, somebody's going to catch the burn. Yeah.
The poor lady at Starbucks who's making you coffee, somebody's going to catch it. So you got to have those outlets where it's a Bloody Mary or a Hennessy, or it's some type of getting a haircut. Guys like getting haircuts, right? You know, or as you talked about the massages, or just getting in your car and driving sometimes. On Sundays, sometimes I like to just drive down Peachtree sometimes.
Man, with this kind of gas, you got to say that's because you got money. That man got money. I don't joyride anymore. This gas is too expensive. You know.
Yeah, maybe if you work from home, that might be a luxury to take a drive. But,
I just like to put down the sunroof sometime and just get in the car and just cruise. I don't know. You can get some freedom. I can kind of listen to a podcast or listen to a book, or listen to my favorite trap music or something of that nature, right? Where I can just have some free time.
Yeah.
And like you said, those hours or that hour or two just to get a release and say, hey, or with your spouse or your you know, baby mother or father type of scenario, but hey, you know what? listen, you need a break for a couple hours. Go do some shopping. Go do your Target run, whatever. I'll watch for a couple of hours. You just get away.
Yeah.
Or vice versa. Like sometimes you got to have that to have some balance and some mental clarity here.
And then that gets you a gold star for down the road. You know, when you drop the ball somewhere, you're like,
Gold
remember
star
that
for
time?
Marcus.
Gold star for Marcus. Dinner was yummy. But yeah,
Sorry, y'all.
no, it's cool. I mean, like I said, all of those things are just phenomenal because I think it's something that we ignore. I mean, mental health, serious. And I never really thought about mental health because I was younger and it was like, what is mental health? Who cares? Oh, man, crazy, you know. But as you start having more experiences, more responsibilities, have a kid, have a job where you may have to fire somebody the next day, you know, those things weigh on you. So that being said, you have to take the additional steps to make sure that your mental health is clear. Because like you said, Terrence, if your mental health isn't clear, you're going to snap. We're humans, you know, we have breaking points. And I mean, I kind of refer to it as like a car. How well is your car running once you get to E and you need an oil change and your battery's dying? We're humans, you know, we're not machines. You know, we are a network of neurological systems and all of that stuff, but you have to recharge your battery just as you know, for yourself, just as you would recharge your battery for your phone. So all of these things are needed. Marquita, from like a mental health standpoint, have you ever come across, you know, maybe, you know, talking to someone and maybe not even necessarily at work, but just somebody who's facing, you know, some kind of burnout, like outside of, you know, what you've outlined for us? What are some of the things that you kind of tell people to cope with those things?
Look, exactly what I told y'all.
Okay.
Actually, like
No,
that's
yeah, I hear
exactly
it.
what I tell them.
Okay.
One of the big, like, you know, how you talk about, you know, recharging your battery. I use the thing of a cup. It's like, you know, you can pour out into your kids, you can pour into work, you can pour, but you cannot pour from an empty cup. So if you are empty, you don't have anything left to give. So you have to constantly do things to fill yourself back up, and look at those things that you're doing as things that fill yourself back up. When you know, okay, I got some quality sleep tonight, that fills you back up. Okay, I had some relaxing time to myself, that's filling you back up so that you can continue to do the things that you want to do and that you need to do regarding kids and work and stuff like that. Like eventually you're gonna run out
Right.
if you don't replenish.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things I tell, you know, clients and stuff all the time. You can't pour from an empty cup.
True.
I like
and so it gives them that, you know, that thing that's always in their brain. Like, okay, like how can I fill myself back up?
Yeah. And kids can pick up on it too. When you are, because I'll get called out. I'm like, Daddy, why are you so tired? You know, and I'm like, yo behind is why I'm so tired. I don't say that, but in my head, I'm like,
I will say it.
You're working my last nerves.
Yeah, you working my last nerves.
But also, and in the same way we've talked about in previous episodes about modeling the behavior, these are things that we have to model for our kids. We need to show them what it looks like to have balance.
Yes.
What it looks like when mommy's overwhelmed, this is what mommy does. You know, I need some time to myself for a moment. And I would say that when my oldest was 5, she used to say that I just need some time to myself. And she'd go to her room and I'm like, well, have fun.
Right.
Like, and I'm like, but okay, take your time.
Right.
When you ready, come on back out. And then she would come back out, you know, but we do that. You know, we take the time to ourselves. I was the parent that's in the middle of the store. Like, come on, we about to all take a deep breath together. Let's go.
Yeah.
Because we not doing well right now. So those modeling those things for kids helps them learn how to cope, you know, for, you know, things on their own. So
yeah. And patience is huge as well. You know, just being patient sometimes with yourself, because we are human, as I will say all the time on the podcast, we are human. So sometimes you have to, like you said, just take a break, take a step away and be patient and know that you're going to have these moments where you do feel overwhelmed. And there's nothing wrong with expressing that to your kid as well, because they are at one point going to experience burnout and they're going to experience times where they feel overwhelmed. So it's nothing wrong with saying, and I have to work on this. Hey, you know, daddy's dealing with a lot at work right now. You know, I have this going on, so daddy just needs to recharge. Daddy's tired right now. It's nothing wrong with it, because they have to understand that life isn't always going to be roses. There are going to be challenges, and there are going to be times when you don't feel like, I have this conversation in the morning with Zoe, and when we're getting ready for school, and she's like, I don't want to go to school. I'm tired. I'm like, hey, daddy don't feel like getting up and getting you ready and going to school or going to work. Mommy doesn't want to go to work, but we have to do those things. So
yeah, because you're setting an example, because they emulate everything that you do. So you got to be careful about that too, because if you're going around cursing because you're mad at the world or tired or stressed out, they'll start to actually kind of try to mimic those things as well. And, you know, especially when you have kids who are involved in a lot of extracurricular activities and practices and things of that nature, you know, someone's got to take them to the practice and pick them up from practice sometimes too, right? Someone has to take them to the recital or a game or whatever the event is, the match, right? So yeah, they're going to get burned out themselves with school and things of that nature, but they have a little bit more energy because they're young. But if they see you moping around or you're upset or you're snapping at people, they're going to start to actually have those same type of mannerisms. So that's something we always have to be, you know, cautious about as well, how we handle our stress, how we handle, you know, different difficulties that happen in the situation. So just always, you know, as you say, try to keep a smile on your face, even though if the situation is tough, and not necessarily have it so outward that they kind of get that energy, because they can pick up on that negative energy and they'll start to actually kind of be negative themselves.
Yeah, agreed.
I don't know if we were finished, because I had a question based off of that. What are you guys' opinion about, since Terrence, you did mention, you know, kids can get burnt out too.
Yep.
Do you allow your child to have like day off from school because they are just tired and exhausted, the same way you take time off from work?
Yeah. Let me talk to that one just yet, because I want to say kind of what I was raised with and what I would like to do. Okay. You know, my mom was an educator, and it was a standpoint where, you know, honestly, you're probably going to try to get perfect attendance. You're going to try to, but if it's football season, we may take you out a Friday early for a game, right? But that was really about it. It wasn't the fact that, oh, I don't feel like going to school today, I'm not going to go. Because once you do it once or twice, you set the precedent, and then they feel like it's okay when going gets tough, or I got an exam or quiz I didn't study for, and you say, oh, Mom, I don't feel like going to school today. And then they mess around, they miss an assignment, and then they were like, oh, it's fine because my mom said I could, right? So I don't really want to have that type of scenario where it's like, just because they're stating so, you know, young at a time that they want to take a day off from school because they're running and avoiding something. And it's kind of different opinions, but it's teaching that it's okay to kind of run away from your problems or your issues just yet. Because when I was growing up, and that's just my experience, I didn't have the opportunity to do so. If it was a scenario, I had to go to school.
Yeah.
Like, what are you going to do? I'm going to stay home from work?
Right.
And watch you all day? No, you're going to school. So, yes, I think if the kid is stressed out, especially if they're taking some challenging classes, they have practices, they're having issues maybe with classmates, you may have to do something to kind of help them cope, but not just pulling them out from school. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, on my end. Go ahead. Go ahead, Patty.
I mean, I'm not really at that point yet. My son is still in preschool, but, you know, given the journey that I'm on, I think that my way of parenting will be very similar or rooted in how I was raised, but I also am embracing newer philosophies around gentle parenting. I'm embracing more that we know about neurodiversity and how the brain works, and being more open and understanding to what my journey is with my child. So I will say that, you know, I have read or seen in groups around autism that burnout is real for certain people, you know, being able to mask and having to participate in a world that's not necessarily created for those that have certain limitations. So I will cross that bridge when I get to it, but I definitely think that, you know, there has to be a balance. And I think that, you know, people, you know, you need to be pushed, you need to be encouraged, you know, you need to teach endurance no matter what is going on with your child. But I am open to new ways of thinking, and, you know, even my own journey with understanding what is special education has totally changed from what I was raised, or like what I thought special education was back in the day. So my, you know, I just know that how I will go about it may be slightly different than how I was raised or what I would think is correct, but that's because I have different circumstances. So to answer Marquita's question, I think I would honor that, but it would have to be, a balanced decision with my, my son's therapy team and just really understanding what that means. For those that don't have that extensive of a network for various reasons, I do still believe that it is okay, because as I feel like as I get older, I realize I think my mom did things pretty well. She pushed the pedal to the metal. She definitely made me do things that I didn't want to do, and I turned out fine. But I also think that would I still turned out fine, with the morals and values that were instilled in my household? Probably. I don't necessarily think that means you got to show up for school every day. I think that can be instilled in different ways. But I do believe that pushing your child to do things, to build endurance is important, but I do think there's a balance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, agreed. So I do want to thank Terrence, and I want to thank Brandy and Marquita for all of the feedback. I want to thank once again everybody for tuning in and listening to us. Once again, I want you guys to be sure to follow and subscribe and like us on YouTube at the Parental Advisory Podcast. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at the Parental Advisory Podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. So once again, thank you guys for tuning in to the Parental Advisory Podcast, and we look forward to talking to you on the next episode. Have a good one.